Have you?
We are going live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We don't have a countdown, and that's okay because you know what? Things happen, and it is Sunday. It is Sunday, and today is the Tour of Love Sunday show. We have some amazing guests that we are going to be celebrating Women's History Month, celebrating you, all of you out there. So I hope you have your mugs ready to go because I have mine. I just got my favorite drink, which is water today. So let's go around and let's introduce everybody and get into it. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay. My name is Tamara Hunter, and I am the president and co-founder of the nonprofit that this show supports, that is cb4l.org. And I am one of the co-hosts. I am joined by two other co-hosts that are on each side of me. So let's start over there with Caroline Berzins, and then we will go to Poe, and then we're going to introduce our two special guests.
Hi, my name is Caroline Berzins, and I am assistant producer for the Service Hero Show and also senior ambassador for Chemo Buddies.
Poe?
I am Skip or Poe. There's a long story I won't tell you about that, but I am on the board of Chemo Buddies for Life and in the hills of Arkansas in a little cabin, and thrilled to be here with you, beautiful ladies. I'm the only guy. I feel in wonderful company here with all of you. So thank you.
And let's introduce our two special guests. We have the two of the four co-founders of Celebrate You. And I'd love to know a little bit about each one of you and a little bit about Celebrate You. Why don't we start with you, Barbara Beckley, and then we'll go to LaWanna.
Yes, hi. This is Barbara Beckley. I know a lot of people know me on the flip side of the Chemo Buddies, but today is about all Celebrate You Women Wellness with my visionary co-founder, LaWanna Bradford, which she is so awesome, and the other two ladies. So I just want to say Celebrate You, and I know LaWanna, I want her to get more deep into it, but I'm a co-founder of the group. And basically, it's really, we want to make sure, I'm going to say it in one sentence, to celebrate who you are, who you truly are in every way, any way, fashion in your life. And it's so important to do that. And we in the group always are pushing the women to tell the women, hey, you're awesome, you're amazing. I call them queens, as you all know. And we just want to make sure that they're celebrating, celebrating them in every way possible. And to say that, they're more than enough and to move forward. And I'm just going to give it to LaWanna because I know she has the whole visionary part of it.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Tamara, Skip, and Caroline for having us here. We really appreciate it. And Barbara's being modest. She didn't tell you that she is also the co-founder and CEO or the founder and CEO of the Diamond Factor Experience. And the Diamond Factor plays a huge role in helping our community within Celebrate You be reminded about their purpose, passion, and drive. Because until you identify your purpose, then your ability to make impact is questionable. So we appreciate all that you bring to the table, Barbara. And I am also, as she mentioned, of Celebrate You. And Celebrate You, it's designed, as Barbara said, to help women truly celebrate themselves, but to embrace everything that they are mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, because it does take money to move the needle. And we believe that when women are able to truly embrace all of these elements of themselves, they're then able to impact the lives of their family, the community, the nation, and the world. And I'm so honored to be a part of the community, to be leading the charge. And my companies that also support the business is the Bradford Group Consulting, where we bring business performance consulting and management and strategic insight to the group, as well as the Bradford Group, which is the mortgage side of the house. And our focus is on, financial wellness and security for our women today and in the future.
And we invited you onto the Tour of Love because a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to again recognize the fact that both you and Barbara Beckley, LaWanna and Barbara, that both of you have sponsored the Tour of Love, your businesses, and the Celebrate You movement. And we have been actually finding that the nonprofit, the Chemo Buddies for Life, or CB4L.org, and then the movement within Celebrate You, that we really do parallel. We are hand in glove, that we have so many different resources that we can help each other. And the collaboration that is taking place is so important. And that's a big part of what the Tour of Love was always designed to be, right, Poe?
That's right. Yep. It was, well, it kind of started in conversations with the private group, and Barbara and various people were saying things that led to other, and it's a very creative group of people. And suddenly it was, this love energy. How do we take it on the road? It was like, well, we can't with the COVID, but we sure can with a virtual audience. And it has grown into, naming it the Year of Love versus, and now it's the Decade of Love. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of love going around for the next few years from this group.
Gotta love that. And then Carol Berzins, you are not only the assistant producer of this show and of course the Service Hero show, you are the senior ambassador of the Buddies. And if you want to briefly just tell us, who are the Buddies? And so anybody that might be watching this show for the very first time on the E360 TV platform, why is it that they should work? Why should they what should it matter to them that we have a Buddies program?
Well, first of all, the program is to be a buddy or a support buddy, and that's to share the love with each other and also to have that connection with each other. Whether you go through the same treatment or the same cancer, it doesn't have to be. You can connect in other ways in order to have that buddy relationship, so that you can have that conversation. And if you're having a down day, you can call up your buddy and have them listen to, what you're going through. We have a lot of buddies that are connected together, have great friendships. Healing through music is another one. Healing through art is another one. And we all come together and we support each and every one of us in that community. And me as the lead senior ambassador in there, I make sure that each one, connects together, and that they share what they're dealing with throughout their day. Sending out inspirational quotes, to inspire and uplift everybody in the group. And that's what the community is about. It's about sharing the love with each other.
Thank you. And in fact, we have a video that was produced by Poe, and it tells a little bit about the Buddies, and that's important to understand, so then we can see how Celebrate You and celebrating Women's History Month, and then tomorrow is a big day, International Women's Day. We have so many things in March that are celebrating women. And in truth, you say this all the time, LaWanna, that when we celebrate women, we are celebrating men celebrating women too. And Poe, you've been a big supporter of that. So want to recognize all of that. Let's share this video, and then we can get deeper into what is it we're doing here and share the Tour of Love.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Healing through connections. And I want to say and recognize Christopher Kaysen, who is here with us, sending the love to you, Christopher. We want you to know that we are with you right now. And those that are here that we cannot see who it is that we're happy you're here with us. Welcome. Buenos dias. And so celebrate you. Celebrate you, the 2 of you. Yes, you recognize Barbara Beckley was in that video. So she is on both sides. However, so is LaWanna. The 2 of you are both, if you will, buddies, right? You belong to our club. You understand what it is that we're all about. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
And the fact that celebrate you, when you talk about the health piece of it, health and wellness, that is the health of our bodies, the health of our finances, the health of our families, the health of our communities, thus so much more. And we talk about that a lot in regards to how love is a healing factor. So you just had an event recently. Why don't you tell us about that? Because your Celebrate You has been growing at a phenomenal rate.
Yes. Barbara, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I thought I was on mute. I can take a little bit and then go to you. We can swap. So yeah, we had a wonderful event. So what last year, as we all know, and this year, the pandemic happened basically. So we've all been dealing with that. So our visionary and co-founder LaWanna and myself, and we were talking about how can we celebrate these women that are doing phenomenal throughout everything that's going on around us. And can we create something in the platform? So it was created that we were going to start in April, that we did a Woman of the Month. So we would celebrate a woman that, we've seen they've been doing above and beyond, not just within the platform we're in, but just outside too, and helping other women as well, and then even in their business and personal life. So we started choosing people from April all the way to December, each woman. And then we were like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if we can kind of pick a Woman of the Year from the Women's of the Month and have a gala online. So, and LaWanna, I'm telling you, I had to have a pad of paper every time she talks to me because it's just gushing with all these awesome ideas. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me get a pen, let me get paper, let me write this down, let's do this. So we decided to really say, let's celebrate all the women and pick a Women of the Year for 2020. And that's where the gala came. And to have that experience alone, to me, it was just phenomenal. I'm still like, can't believe that, we pulled this off. I mean, it was wonderful. And Tamara, you were there, and Carol was there. Carol
and so was Poe.
So was
all
Poe.
3 of us. Yeah, all 3 of us
Supporting
were there.
Us.
I wanna just make sure. Shannon Green, one of our buddies. So glad you're here with us, my dear. I bet you're in your she shack. You're saying that you can't see someone. Can you let us know a little bit more so we can see what's up with that? Make sure that we're okay and that we're online. Okay, so we were all there, yes, in support. And you had a remarkable show, a huge gala online. How many people were there?
We actually sold out at 230 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we estimated, we kept saying, well, we're gonna put, a number, we'll say at least 100, right? We was looking at that. You know how you aim for something, you want to aim for something. So we were like, so then when time was getting closer and closer, and people were signing up and registering, and I was like, oh my God, it's about to hit 100. And then a few days later, it hits at 100. I got to open it up some more. And then it just kept on going. I was like, this is just phenomenal. I mean, we just got to keep opening until it was like, okay, the day of. And people are still trying to register the day of. The day of. Yeah.
It was a nice problem to have because our aim was to obviously celebrate these amazing women and spotlight the Woman of the Year, but we wanted to give 100% of the proceeds to another charity, Help Heal Humanities, which we were able to do. So it was just a blessing to see so many people rallying around the women, but also rallying around the cause that we were championing as well.
Poe, I'd love to see what questions you have because, I want to recognize the fact that I love the explanations that you give, LaWanna, when it comes to how the men are so important to a woman's organization. And in fact, if you want to share your thoughts in regards to that, and then I'd love to hear, Poe, then your thought, because you've got 3 daughters, you've got, granddaughter, and so I'd love to hear that interchange because, and one of my thoughts here is that right now in this time of March, we are nearly at a year that no one thought we'd have a year anniversary of a COVID year. And so many things have changed, so many dynamics. There's been a lot of stress in regards to our families. There's been a lot of the questioning of ourselves because roles have been so different. You're trying to work at home. You're then trying to educate at home. You're trying to, that frying pan had a whole new meaning going on. And the fact that the organization has such a love factor when it comes to the women that it's serving within the movement, and then the men that are supporting it. And thus that whole, what comes around goes around. Love to hear what you have to say.
Yes, thank you, Tamara, for bringing that up. One of the things, and there's nothing wrong with women coming together in their own independent organizations to help advance or move the needle of change. And I always say that when women come together, I think collaboration and celebration happens. But when men rise up and lift up and elevate women as the queens that we are, which is a position of honor and reverence, that's when magic happens. And we're not meant to do this alone. We're not meant to do this in little siloed buckets of gender, division. It's really about us coming together as humanity. And I truly see a strong role that men are going to have in the next decade in helping to advance the causes of women, to help propel and see the change come about for equality in so many areas. It is going to take men and women uniting to ensure that we have a world that's better for the next generation than what we have today.
Beautiful. So you asked me, you hear everybody's heard the common line that behind every great man is a great woman. And, and that's where we've had a lot of talk about energy and how things are, we're not just biological recreations of something, but we're energetic beings. And the energy of the woman, and they call it that female male energy, is so critical in this world today. I told some of my duck hunting Arkansas buddies about, how do we bring in the female energy more and balance that with the male masculine energy and the women, so it is a balance because we need it in society so well. And it works so well. And of course, my duck hunting buddies kind of look at me and go, what do you mean I become more female energies? To them, they think it's, kind of too feminine, but it is a balance and it's a beautiful balance. And I think throughout, you look at some of these things like the Susan G. Komen races where the men get there and stand alongside. And I do have done a lot of work with the Susan G. Komen and the big running the 10Ks and so forth. And it's so beautiful to see the women run who are cancer survivors or conquerors, as Barbara uses the term, and then see rows and rows of men wearing their supportive gear and cheering the women on. As we are shifting, I think, energetically in society and trying to adapt to a whole new paradigm, that balance of feminine and male energy is going to be critical. And that uniting, as LaWanna says, is so important, and it's so beautiful. The question I have is that I think I remember hearing that you guys kind of started this as and didn't, just like you were surprised at the number of people that signed up for the event. You were actually probably surprised that it even took a life, because I remember the beginning story of this had a purpose. And did you envision it doing what it did and is continuing to do?
Absolutely not. It was the purpose of the Facebook group, if you will, was to merely be a information hub for individuals who were attending a retreat that I was sponsoring, because I was, from my business, was promoting 5 women in business. And I wanted to specifically target women in the same industry. So we picked wellness. We figured that was easy and people could relate to it. And it fit the retreat set. And then Barbara, who was actually one of the businesses that was being sponsored, tapped me on the shoulder and she said, LaWanna, people are joining the Facebook page. And I said, why? Why are they joining? I mean, this is for attendees at the event. And she's like, LaWanna, I don't know, but it's a movement. And we just realized that the messages were resonating with people, and it did just begin to grow organically. And we believe that it's divinely led, and we are just being obedient and listening to the call. And I trust Barbara's line of sight. There's certain things that she sees that I may not be clear on. And then I get clarity. And like she says, then I just start running a mile a minute and all these downloads are coming. So it's just been a great partnership. That's now it's truly a sisterhood that we were developing between ourselves.
Barbara, why do you, what's that attraction, that thing that resonates, that took, as you call it in social media, a viral kind of result into a movement? What is that thing that resonates that you feel women and men perhaps are looking for, that this is something that showed up and goes, I want to be a part of that?
Yeah, because it's funny, I always go back to when it first happened, when I told LaWanna that, and I just seen people just coming. It seemed like there was something that was a need. You know how something deep inside, and you could tell all these women were just coming saying, oh my God, it's like that light, like that lighthouse. And they were just coming towards it, and it was coming towards the group. Like she said, it was just a hub to get information, to make sure everybody knew what was going on with this particular event we were doing. But women were just coming in, just automatically saying, "Oh, I want this. I see this." It's like they see something even more than what we were doing. So that's what told me. I said, "This is a movement," because people just coming from, we didn't even sign up for the, what we were doing, the event, and they were coming towards it. So that's why I felt like that movement was coming, and that's why I told LaWanna about it, and she was like, as like she said, she's like, well, why? This is just informational. But it just took like a snowball effect. And I felt it when I was seeing everybody coming towards it.
What's next? I mean, I want to say this because you didn't expect this, but now I'm sitting here going, okay, well, that happened. The wheels are turning. I don't even have to ask, are your wheels turning? They're always turning, but they're really going faster. And so you've got some new things that you're probably thinking, well, if that's the case, what about this or that? And then the COVID thing's over with, and then what? So I'm excited to see where's this movement going.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we're working on, and it will probably be the second biggest highlight of this year, is Barbara and I will be co-sponsoring a collaborative book with the Celebrate You theme. And there probably will be 3 to 4 volumes max on it. And it's going to focus on, again, those tenets of Celebrate You, and why at this appointed time in history is it so important for women and men to be able to celebrate the truth of who they are, to take responsibility and accountability of their voice and be an element of change. And so that's going to be the messages. So as people tell their stories, the stories have to communicate that, that seamless thread in order to be included in the book. And the other thing that we do on the platform is we've started our Lunch and Learn series. So every Saturday, starting at noon, we have a different theme for each Saturday, starting with things about. So whether it's routine maintenance, insurance, just again, these financial buckets that we need to understand what's going on and be responsible for the largest assets that most people will have, or biggest investment. Then we go into the business side of the house. So I and Rosanna Drumgold, she has her separate show. We'll be doing our own independent training. Then it turns to Barbara. She and Vismaya Rubin Barbara talks about purpose, passion, and drive. Vismaya will be doing a Lunch and Learn on gratitude. And then Lulu Brown, who is the fourth co-founder, she will be focusing on the whole spirituality, not religion specifically, but just us as spiritual beings and living in a life of peace and of joy and contentment.
Well, and the whole concept or philosophy of Celebrate You seems so empowering for both women, men, and even children. I mean, to get this philosophy as a movement, as a way of life, as a way of navigating through things, is to first celebrate you. It's kind of, a lot of times it says, people say, love yourself. And they say, well, that sounds kind of selfish. It's like, well, if you can't love yourself, how can you show love to another person? Well, if you can't celebrate you, how can you celebrate other people? So start there. And so much, like you said, in this shifting times, I got to work a lot with the end of the Mayan calendar in 2012 and the Mayans and a lot of indigenous tribes. And what was so interesting as they led up to, the Hopi, there were 120 different cultures came together for a gathering. And I was kind of new to it, but the whole concept of what this shift we're in through so many biblical and indigenous prophecies was a shift in humanity. And people, you refer to it as the apocalypse. Well, if you look that word up, it doesn't mean the Hollywood version of things blowing up and like, oh my God, no, it's the lifting of the veil is what it means. And so for what I hear in this, to celebrate you and for others to celebrate, and even for men to become more with balance with the feminine energies, is that lifting of the veil. And we enter then through kind of another era. They call it the time of the sixth sun. The Hopi did for the same period. All of those prophecies said the same thing. And like Barbara said, you were responding to a need. And what a beautiful thing. That's what resonated. It proved that people were, resonating with it. So how exciting of a movement you both have started.
And what you were saying when you were explaining about the Mayan and the Hopi, we truly are in a new age. We are in the age of Aquarius now. And the amazing thing is, I think, the veil that's being lifted is really recognizing who we are as a collective and how we're so interconnected as humanity and to the planet. And I think God is saying, okay, now what? Now you're aware, now what?
Exactly.
What I'm going to bring up the Omega scale that we bring up all the time, and the tour of love, it really does talk about the whole love here. And when you are at a point where you're questioning even your day, how do I get through my finances? How do I take care of the assets that I'm a steward over? And I maybe don't know what to do. So then you may be in that whole, I don't know. And then maybe even shame that I don't know. Who do I ask? Then, all of these different elements within this frequency scale. And as you're talking, the two of you, and listening, about the veil opening. The veil also opening can be the veil opening within each of us, right? In that we are opening up a veil and then saying, okay, we have all of these tools. We have the internet. I may be in lockdown, but I can turn on my computer. I may not know how to do this, but there's this group that has a class. Maybe I can learn there. And then, then overcoming your fears and the desire. Oh, wow, I am now understanding how to take charge and take care of my finances or whatever it may be. And some of that can relieve some of the stress. And oh, look at this, Poe. I found another graph that goes up to the 1,000 now, and so then we can get up into the love, the joy, the peace, and then get into the enlightenment. I'd love to be able to take, because we talk about this every week, take this graph and then apply it to what you're talking about right now. And Carol, I'd love to hear from you too, in the fact that many of our buddies, even when we're working with them, they are in the trenches where, it's like, okay, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to get through these finance issues? How am I going to get through all of these? And when you have that collective, when you have people that are there to help support, help to educate, help to then find that awareness, then you start to see, wow, I can get through this, right?
Are you talking to me?
Well, I'm talking to. I'm throwing it out there. This is discussion time, guys. We have our coffee, and we want to recognize we have Carl here, Carl Wilson of All Women Rock. I love it. Another group celebrating women. A man that has a group to celebrate women. All women rock, and he is going to be our service hero tomorrow on the Service Hero Show. So please tune in at noon Pacific, 3:00 in the afternoon Eastern, and you can find out more about Dr. Carl Wilson. So thank you for being here. So yes, I want to put it out there because we talk a lot about that, the scale and the tour of love, and that. And then with the veil coming off, that veil coming off within our own eyes, taking the blinders off, whatever you want to call it, that awakening.
Well, I want to,
yeah.
I really want to talk about a quote that I put out the other day, and it's, be the hand that reaches out. Be the smile for those that have no reason to smile. Be the light for those that live in the darkness and show them what it means to truly love. And that was one of the ones that I put out there because, we want to reach out to them and we want them to feel that they are loved and that they're not alone and that we can sit here and have that listening ear for them. And we want them to reach back to us and let us know what is showing up for them in their day. And I noticed a lot of our buddies are now starting to reach out to each other, and they're actually really coming out of their hiding spot of being alone, and they're showing up now on our chats, and they're showing up in the community, and they're responding to these quotes. Because these quotes that we put out there every single day, in the morning, afternoon, and the evening, some of them resonate with them in a certain manner. And that's why we started this social media group club in the community first, because we want them to see that we are here for you. We are taking that stand for you. We want you to come out of the space that you're in, because living in the darkness doesn't help us move forward. It actually keeps us trapped in where we are. So we started doing this, and I found that a lot of buddies now have opened up and have shown up.
So Poe,
pass it on.
Yeah, Poe, in regards to the and LaWanna and Barbara, in regards to the inner versus the community, that lifting of the veil and the world, if you will, and all the prophecies, that can go it's just like the healing through connections within ourselves, healing through connections within buddies, and healing through connections within the community of cb4l.org. It's the same thing with Celebrate You and the community there and the education that's then helping us to, you know, go up the scale. So I'd love to just throw it out there for conversation. And Carl, you've got a lot going. Okay, so it's coming from the heart. Tell people you love them and show it. Absolutely. And I have $1 more than I did yesterday. That's awesome. A lot of people talk, but do not, you know, walk through it, or they, you know, they may talk but not walk it. So thank you for sharing, Carl. Okay, out for discussion.
I think in order to create change or to create impact or to show love, you have to first be that within yourself. And as I think Carl just said, people talk, but they don't walk it. They don't walk it because it's not yet in them. When it's in you, when there's joy in you, when there's love in you, it just overflows. It's your essence, right? It just becomes an extension of you. You don't have to think about it. But when you're struggling with certain things and going, you know, at the lower level, the shame, the guilt, the fear, that can cripple us in so many ways. And it's being able to recognize, okay, this is here. I may be fearful. Now, how can I get over that? How can I abide at a different level, at a higher level of that peace, of that joy? And like Chemo Buddies, even though we're in a cancer journey, right? That's the reality. But I don't have to allow the fear and the grief and the shame to cripple me, where now I live in a lesser state of being. But I can say, okay, this is my journey, and I'm going to embrace the joy and the love and the now that I have and celebrate the now, and let tomorrow take care of itself.
And I think that's beautiful. And again, with energy shifting, and Carol kind of said it with what she read, is that people resonate to certain things. So if you show this, and they may not be there, they may be down in that guilt or apathy, fear. And if you're down there in the kind of the neutral places there at 200, that's where things start to shift toward a positive energy. It's very disempowering, or as it says, suffering, when you get down below that. And if somebody is at apathy, their energy is very low. They just don't care. It's hard to, it's like, you know, there's very little going on. And so when I had COVID back in December, I thought, oh boy. And of course I was started to feel a little fear, and even at some point, you know, a little bit of apathy, and it's like, okay. And I thought, how do I can't get to love or reason or joy, just jump up there as if it's a ladder. I decided I was going to get angry at it, you know, and that started some energy moving. I said, dadgummit, COVID, you're not going to beat me. I'm going to get out of this. Same when I had cancer. I was, you know, way down there. And to be able to take it, you can't just flip a switch and go from fear to love. How do you start to walk yourself up that ladder of being neutral and getting the positive energy instead of that negative, disempowering energy, and move up toward willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace? And that's and if you're feeling that, it resonates in that law of attraction, that which is likened to itself attracts. So if you're putting out there laughter, as we have yoga, laughing yoga, or whatever, you know, so much fun, you can't sit there and not laugh, and it's contagious, you know, and so that's all that resonates, you know, and it's same with love.
Yes. You will see me soon, Carl. We'll be on tomorrow together. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, because, you know, and so many people don't understand that ladder, or maybe the scale, but they understand a ladder, you know, because, and I think about this a lot, because I have we all have those kids in our lives that they seem to think they have a cape and they can fly, you know. It's like, okay, and there's that Christmas tree and there's that star, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna get up there, and there they got the ladder, and you're like, okay, And it's like, okay, are those little feet gonna make it, or what's gonna happen? And sometimes we, as those parents, even we can, or grandparents or whatever it may be like, somewhat protective. Even, okay, there's that ladder. Are they gonna jump? Are they gonna fly? Are they gonna whatever? And then when you take that step by step, baby steps, and whatever it may be, and then get to that top of the tree, and then there's that star, it's up there, and then that joy, that elation, that like, I did that, right? And has there been a time when, okay, you're so excited and then you're kind of like missing that step? Sometimes what happens, what's the worst that happens? Maybe we do fall. Maybe we do have to, skin knee, or maybe whatever it is. We have to brush ourselves off and then get going again. That's kind of like, that's why I love all of this, because you can take life and you can wash it through the cone. You can wash it through and say, okay, I am understanding this. Because truthfully, in the very beginning, when Poe would talk about this, and Aaron and some of the others that understand this, and it was new to some of us, I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, you can jump. Oh yeah, you can jump. But now when I'm listening, and I really am being honest with myself, I'm thinking, okay, I understand. The knowledge of understanding how this works, and that when you talk about that, Poe, and getting angry with COVID, and then because you understand this, it's a practice, right?
I was just about to say practice, or ask the question about practice.
We can't hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
I
can hear everybody. Oh, lost me. But yeah, no, it's a question I'd like to ask. Can everybody hear me? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The question would be a practice, because I was about to say that, you can do laughter and so forth, but you can't laugh all day, and I can't be in that place of joy all day. But what is a practice? I mean, you got the celebration journal, right? Caroline and Tamara, you can't hear me, but is that a practice? Are there things with Celebrate You and their book and what you're doing, and just showing up and going to these, being part of these events is a practice, and how important that is, because you can sit there and be in the, in the grief or despair, but just to jump up, and it may happen for a few minutes, but how do you keep that going with a practice in celebrating you?
Well,
No, go ahead, Barbara.
Well, I wanted to kind of hit upon, because I know we've been talking about, getting to that love and encouragement and stuff, but I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, the downward, the fear and the anger and and we need to own that too. I think, because we're not robots. We're going to go through the fear. I mean, I can do an example just yesterday and today, and LaWanna knows about it. I've been telling everybody, I can't get into my emails. My thing's been hacked, I think. So did I get pissed off at the beginning? Heck yeah. I was upset. Not for no 1 hour. It was a few hours. And then I went from there to fear, because I'm like, oh my God, there's all this stuff in here. And I'm like, what was going to do? Then I'm into like feeling sorry for myself a little bit, like, why did it happen to me? It didn't happen to me. So, I went through those little cycles. But then what happened was, and I was just telling Caroline today and Poe, when we came on, before we came in the virtual room, that I had to go by what I tell everybody else what to do. I said, if I'm putting it out there to say, okay, when this thing happens in your life, you need to look around, you pull from, those quotes that you're always talking about. Now you got to live it. Now you got to live it. You can say quotes all day long, positive quotes, happy quotes, all that. But if you don't really have it in your blood, have it in your body, and say, when something happens, like what happened to me, as an example, that I need to pull from that. I pull from other people like LaWanna and Caroline. I mean, you all around, pull from each other when you're going through that. And that's when you start going up into that funnel of now you feeling more of, okay, now I feel a little better. This is going to work. I feel, now I think I can do this. And then you keep, you moving along. But you have to own it and say to yourself, you're going to have those times when it's going to happen, because that's part of our emotions. But we have to rein in those emotions and learn how to tackle them and use those tools that we always talk about we have to help you out with it.
Yeah, and
LaWanna,
also
how
too,
do,
you
go
talked
ahead. How do
about,
you go, or Carol, whoever? But yeah, I want to keep that going with the practice that people watching this can take with them.
Carolyn, you want to go?
I just wanted to follow up with Barbara there, is when she talked about being patient last night. So it's being patient and taking that breath for a moment and just, doing your thing that you always do, Barbara, and just whoosh, and then guide yourself through it to take the next step. Okay, what do I do now? I have to contact these people and say, I need, sorry that I'm asking for this information, but this is the situation. This is what happened. And then again, it's just what happened, and then asking that person for that information and saying, I do apologize for re-asking, but this is what happened, because it's just a what happened. It's a what so, and you just have to be patient with yourself. And you talked about that last night.
Just last night. Didn't know it was for me.
But it resonates with everybody, right? Yes. Things like that happen. It occurs in our life. Everything occurs in our life for a reason. And we just have to learn to have those patience to sit back, adjust ourselves, look at it, and then move forward on how we're going to deal with it.
I want to piggyback on what both of you said. I'm in total agreement. And I think one of the things that we have to realize is, as we're journeying through life, to start building those reserves, those emotional reserves. It's easy to celebrate life when everything's going well. But when you're hit with COVID, with cancer, with death, with just life, it's kind of hard to find that. But if you find a way to, Barbara talks about finding your anchor, whatever it is that brings you that state of peace, whether it's being with your family, it may be taking walks, it may be journaling, and you get into that practice of finding those things that lift you up. If it's music, if Carolyn mentioned, if it's certain quotes, and you embed that in your memory, that then when life hits you, that's where you're going to help lift you up. It's kind of hard when you don't have anything. It's like going to a bank that you haven't been depositing in, and now you really need money. Well, guess what? There's not going to be anything to withdraw. So I think it's the same thing with our lives, that we, as adults and as caregivers of the next generation, it's important that we start teaching our children how to build that emotional reserve, how to find a way to develop their own coping mechanisms, because life will happen, and it will happen in some of the most unexpected, most tragic ways. But if you have that reserve, those anchors, or at least the people or community around you to lift you up, begin climbing up that funnel, right? But you need something to hold on to, because it's going to just be a slippery slope back down to the alpha state.
And you're saying these things are okay. I mean, we're not saying don't have apathy or that's bad, or fear, or get angry because your Gmail just or whatever disappears. It's okay to have those feelings. What you want to do now is start to transmute that energy and increase it, and how to do that. And through a practice, that's possible to shorten that period that you're down there in apathy or anger. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. I like when I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was talking to my brother, and he said, "How do you feel?" I said, "This sucks." And he's like, "Yeah, and we're like going back and forth, just screaming, because we were just so angry. But then it's like, okay, now what? I wouldn't wish this on someone, I don't want anyone else to go through this. It's like, okay, now what do I have to do? But that was a process. And I think when we go through these feelings, it's I think it's God's way of connecting us with the external force that are in and around our lives, and it shows we're alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it also allows us. Go ahead, Barbara.
Go ahead, Carol. No, I just
it just allows us
want to tally real quickly what LaWanna was saying about it opens up, because also. I think we all got stuck. Go ahead, Caroline. Caroline, I don't know what happened, but go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, allow yourself that space to recognize where you are in order to move forward. You know, when we're stuck in a certain area, like, you know, for myself, for a whole year, I was angry, I was frustrated, I didn't have self-worth in myself, I didn't believe in myself, you know, so I had to take that time to do self-reflection on myself. And that's looking in the mirror at myself and asking myself, who am I being and how am I showing up for others? You know, so if I'm showing up angry, am I not going to generate that anger onto somebody else and make them feel the same? And that's where I had to do a lot of work on myself. So allow yourself to have that time to be angry, and then discover, you know, where am I going to go from here? How am I going to show up for myself and others? Okay, go, Barbara.
Just wanted to add real quickly that what LaWanna was saying earlier, and Carol, you hit it too, where I think the reason why we deal with things, I always call it earthquakes and floods of life, I always say that, is because, and to tell it. See, that's the thing. We go through it, but we need to tell it. And a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable, because I know, you know, certain things you kind of like, I don't know about that. But when you tell it, you tell others, when you say your stories, basically you're sharing the thing that you're not there alone at that bottom of that, you know, that we're talking about. You're not the only person that's fearing and not feeling a certain way or feeling anger. You know, when you start sharing your stories, then you're like, you know what? I'm not by myself. I mean, Carol went through some things. LaWanna went through. I mean, wow, I'm not here alone down here. And guess what? They didn't stay down there. They went up that slope. So that's why you give people hope. And that's why it's so important to say, you know what, I've been through it too. I felt guilt. I felt shame. Sometimes I still feel it sometimes. But that's just a part of life. And I think, like you said, we all come together and we can talk about it. Then we don't feel so alone about it. And then just to add to it, I was thinking about the children, like what Tamara was saying about the child on the Christmas tree and stuff like that. I love children because they remind me of not being so fearful for life. You know, as children, they'll sit there and try to conquer the world and don't ask questions, don't second guess anything. They just do that. And I feel like sometimes us as adults, we need to kind of take on and go back a little bit and say, you know what? Why are we so serious about certain things? Let's just try to, I would tell people, just do it. If you fail, you fail. You know, a child, they be like, they get up, they scratch their knee, they're like, and then they keep running. Have you noticed that? They'll fall back down, then they keep running. What we do, we fall back down sometimes, you know, and then we just keep going with the and want a whole bunch of Band-Aids and sit in the house and be like, So sometimes we just need to just say, okay, let's be and see what we can do.
I want to just add one thing, and I know that I was guilty of it, and I had to just really pull back and understand where people are, and we all have different personality types. Mine is one that I'm able to rebound very quickly from crises, whatever it is. It's like, okay, if I can't change it, I quickly move. But that's my makeup, and I found myself impressing that on other people. And that is so wrong. And so one of the things that I had to really pause and get myself into was a state of allowing people to just be who they are, loving them where they are. And as Barbara said, sharing my story. But if they can't run a marathon, then why am I going to drag them into a marathon? You know, that's wrong. And it's actually, I felt almost insulting, you know, for me to even have that kind of a mindset, like, oh my God, I can't believe it's taking you this long to get over whatever. It's like, but That's their lane, their experience, and just allow them to be, love them where they are, and pray that in time they will get their sea legs back and begin to live again and live with joy and live with grace. And if they don't, keep loving them anyway, right?
That's a great point, LaWanna, because I had to find my sea legs, and I had a lot of people guide me and help me to recognize the things that I was going through. And, Tamara was one of them. We've had many conversations, of me beating myself up all the time, and I've learned to stop beating myself up now and be okay with what shows up for myself. And I now share that with others, to not beat themselves up.
I love it. And as we are at the top of the hour now, we've got a very short period of time left before the show is over. It goes so quickly. And so what I'd like to do is go around the horn, if you will, and have all of you leave a thought. And we will invite you back. I'd love to have you back and on a regular basis to really get the programs going forward, because your group and our group, and there's others, that we need to combine our efforts and be able to say collaboration really works, and talking about lanes. And so as we go around, I'd love to be able to right now share a nugget of what you're thinking about our subject today, and then we'll invite you back and we'll talk about the next program that you've got coming up, because I know you've got them coming up this year. And we'll talk about your book. We'll talk about some of the other educational programs. So Caroline, why don't you start as we share our nuggets?
My nugget is just be the light for the people that live in the darkness, and really show them that you love them no matter where they are. And just comfort them, and allow them to just speak, and just be that listening ear for them.
Awesome. Poe?
Well, we are living in a time where it's really important to celebrate you. And that means that there are certain things that may be trying to disempower you and bring you down. It may be family, it may be situations, it may be events, or conditions. The best you can to set boundaries to, as I call them, sucky tubes that suck that energy, that disempowering you instead of celebrating you. So protect that beautiful you that's out there and celebrate it, and don't let things pull you down if you can.
Perfect. Okay, Barbara, 30 seconds.
Famous quote I love: when you find your why, when you find your PPD, as I call it, don't hit the snooze button anymore. No more snooze buttons. Find a way and you'll make it happen. And that's Eric Thomas.
LaWanna.
Sometimes the best way out of darkness is to be a smile in someone else's storm. So find a reason to smile.
I love it.
Beautiful.
And never give up. Share the love. Love is going to always win out. And remember, be here next week to share the love, and be here for the tour of love, because we are dedicated to change the way that we live our lives through love. It's all about love, guys. All right. Make it a groovy week. Be back next Sunday. And remember to share the love too. Bye, everyone.